So, Chris Howell says, thanks for everything you do for young musicians. It's inspirational, which is be nice. Thanks, Chris. And as a songwriter who isn't an artist, how can I get a publishing deal to write for other people?
Good. Okay, so good question. And this is actually a video that we've just done this week on a top 10 tips for getting a publishing deal. And it was actually this question that came up that triggered me to want to do that, because it is a tricky one. If you're not the actual artist and you are just the writer yourself, then how do you start going around it? So there are a couple of tips, and there's a video with a lot more detail on the YouTube. So go and subscribe to YouTube and go and check that out. But things like when you're a writer, the things that really matter are getting into a position where you're not waiting to be inspired, and you're actually setting yourself up as a professional writer. Then after that, I'd actually go and start writing for other people. I'd actually go and find people and start writing for them. So and I'd also be looking at a lot of collabs, a lot of partnerships. Collabs are amazing because not only are you actually getting someone else's input, but when it comes to a subjective thing like songwriting, where someone will say, I think it's good, and someone else will say, I don't think it's good, then it is nice to have someone who can actually almost take a step back and just say, I think that line that you're doing there is cheesy. You know, lyrics are really important. That line is a bit cheesy. Or that middle eight's a bit complicated, it's a bit faffy. I think you could simplify this a little bit. Having that kind of mentorship where it's just another songwriter saying, why not do that? And actually keeping yourself on track. I think that's a really important thing. Now, when it comes to actually getting your stuff out there, two things. Number one, distribution is still very important. I feel very sorry for all the songs that are stuck on someone's hard drive because they're writing songs and going, yeah, it's okay, and then it's stuck on someone's laptop forever and ever until the laptop dies and it's never heard from ever again. I'd rather it be somewhere. I'd rather it be on a website, whether it's a website, social media, a YouTube, just for the sake of being out there. And then what you can do is you can start pushing that to artists. So in order to collaborate, but to get your work out there, one thing I would do, I mean, I live in Brighton. If I was a songwriter, one thing I would do is I would go and find really talented, good-looking singers, male and female, who aren't songwriters, and I'd say to them, look, you are a great singer, but you're not an artist. Why don't you take my songs and go out and do a bunch of gigs? And I'd be doing bits of co-writes, but I'd also be writing for people and saying, look, let me help you put something together so you can get a guitarist, you can go out and do these gigs, because the more of your stuff that's out there with these songs, which is instead of being stuck on your hard drive, the better it is. Now, other tips are production values are very important nowadays. So I know a good song is a good song, but you don't want to just write stuff and the song being fantastic and the production isn't good enough, because nowadays in the day and age that we're at, production is very important. So you do have to get good, and if you're not good at the production, you do need to go and find someone who can help with that. And then lastly, really, it still comes down to having an audience and building that audience, and actually so people know you are the songwriter in the area. LinkedIn is an amazing way, by the way, if you are a songwriter, to actually go and network, meet people, to get yourself in front of other people. So that's the main thing. And then and the other thing as well is if you're writing songs and you're doing all the things that I've just said, and you feel like you're writing songs on a regular basis and you're wondering why you haven't got a publishing deal, then I would look into a music industry solicitor. Now, the thing with a music industry solicitor is there's not as many music industry solicitors as there are normal solicitors, but what they are is they're very connected in the music industry. So you can actually go and have a sit down with them and say, here's my music, here's what I'm doing, what do you think? Now, if they like it and they want to represent you, then they can actually start pushing that into the music industry, because solicitors are connected nowadays and they have got the ins with lots and lots of labels. And you'll hear this solicited versus unsolicited argument. And nowadays people say, we don't take anything which is unsolicited. And the reason for that is because it flags up loads and loads of issues in it, with copywriting and other bits. And solicitors is a great way of getting your music to the right people, but they have to believe in you. But don't forget, a solicitor is not like a manager. A manager has to believe in you because they're taking 20% or whatever they're going to take. A solicitor is just on an hourly rate, depending on sort of what money what needs to be done when it comes to contractuals and everything else. But they're very connected. So a lot of solicitors will do a free sort of half an hour consultation where you can go and meet them and say, look, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm at, what should I be doing next? And they'll give you advice. But even if they don't do it for free and you have to pay for their time, at least they will tell you why they can't give that to the music industry. Whether they say it's not polished enough, it's not the production's not good enough, whether they say the songs aren't good enough, whether they say there's not enough of it, whatever that reason is, at least you've got a reason in then knowing what to work on next. So those are the things I'd think about when you want to get a publishing deal. Music industry solicitors are very, very important and very good at networking. You still need to distribute, you need to collab as much as possible, and it still comes down to how much you can write, what standard you're doing at, how much you can carry on learning, so that eventually you can build this up. And it's not a short-term thing. This is going to be, this is a career. So don't expect any publishing deal in the next few weeks. You're working towards something. And I know plenty of songwriters that took 10 years of writing a lot, and then all of a sudden they had their publishing deal. A friend of mine had his first publishing deal. He got signed, 40 grand he got. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. You got a 40 grand publishing deal. And he said, yeah, but I haven't been paid for the last 10 years. So if you average that out, it's 4 grand a year.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, but then from there, that was kickstarted his career, and he went on to loads of great stuff. So, so this is a long-term game, songwriting. This is not quickly jump into a record deal and try and put out a record and hope for the best. This is a long-term career of learning and churning out songs and networking and building your reputation.
Would you ever advise kind of talking to sort of professional songwriters in the industry as
well? I would, yeah, because I think songwriting is an art form and it's a craft, and I think the people who actually don't wait to be inspired, I think the people who actually who recognise the fact that tempos in the charts don't vary as much as you'd think. I think when it comes to song names, I think when it comes to structure, when it comes to arrangement, when it comes to instrumentation, every tiny detail that you can learn and actually get advice from someone who's actually doing it, even if you don't end up using all the information, I think that is crucial. And that's what I would do. I'd spend so much time learning about the production side as well as the songwriting side, the arrangement side, and I'd be getting tips from people who are credible writing, and I'd find those people on LinkedIn and I'd say, what do I need to do next?
Yeah, and what they did and everything. Yeah, totally.